Have you ever encountered a hurdle with launching or growing your business? Listen, there are two things that run a business: the back end and your soft skills.
Telling you right now, if these aren't in place, you'll lose clients and you'll lose money. You don't want that? Well, you're in the right place.
Hey, I'm Dana.
Hey, I'm Sarah.
We're your hosts of the Entrepreneur Encounter, and we're going to give you a behind-the-scenes glance into our businesses, give you genuine feedback, tips and tricks, plus occasionally bring on guests that care about supporting you to grow your business organically and nurturing authentic relationships. Are you ready?
From facing self-doubt to navigating tech mishaps and creating a sustainable daily routine, our guest, Chris Walker, walks us through the mindset and systems that helped him build a business that continues to grow month after month. Welcome to Entrepreneur Encounter, where we talk about the importance of soft skills, personal and professional development. We're your hosts, Sarah and Dana. In today's episode, we're talking about start before you're ready, your routine is your foundation, your job isn't the enemy, but staying stuck might be. Ready to build your own version of success? Tune into this episode.
Welcome to the show, Chris. Thank you so much for being here today. If you can just go ahead and introduce yourself, a little bit about you and how soft skills have impacted your life.
Hey, thanks for having me. My name is Chris M. Walker. The M is a funny story because there was a one-hit wonder in the 90s named Chris Walker. And when I started wanting to have my own brand, I couldn't get past him. So I started adding the M so people don't think I'm a jazz singer from the 90s. So I always tell that story. But anyway, my name's Chris M. Walker. A brief history. Around 2013, I was working in IT tech support for a real estate development company, a big company here where I live in South Carolina. And it was not a good fit for me. I was very unhappy and very not satisfied with my life and my work. And on top of that, I had some credit card debt, which at the time seemed like an insurmountable amount. Looking at that amount now, I would love to just have that, but that's another story. And what I did was I started looking for ways to pay that off to make some extra money. And I found a blog about affiliate marketing, which was a way to make money by selling other people's products and you get a commission. That's kind of the overview of it. And that sounded intriguing. So I started learning about that, reading forums and stuff while I was at work, as opposed to doing my job. I started doing okay with that. I had a couple of blogs that were making good commissions. And then in late 2013, a Google algorithm update came along and wiped away all the work I had done. I didn't even know that those were a thing at the time.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But by that point, I had gotten enough of a sample of making money on my own to be addicted and wanted to keep doing it. So I bought a course that was about $1,000, which was just a tremendous investment to me at the time. But it was called Source Phoenix. It was an SEO course. From that, I learned how to do SEO, search engine optimization, for those that don't know, for clients. So I would start taking on small businesses and doing their search engine optimization for them, helping them show up higher in search results. Back then, it was just Google. And I was doing okay with that. I still had my job. So when I would get client calls, I would have to go in the bathroom and take them there because I wasn't supposed to be doing that while I was at work. Yeah. But that did well. And then between that and a little bit of affiliate, I was doing okay. And then what really changed everything for me was the same person that put out that course built a website that was a marketplace similar to like a Fiverr, but specifically for SEO. And on a whim, I listed a service on there that I just resold from another site. Didn't even know how to do the thing I was selling, which I don't advise, by the way. That did well. It surprised me, but I got a sale here and then another one and another one. And then an influencer endorsed the services I was doing and I got flooded with sales. And I started having the customers from those sales join like a Facebook group. So I'd have another way to reach them. Again, not expecting anything to come of that. But that was around 2016. And that got me out of the job and started doing all of that professionally. But then what happened next was that same site, which I had come to depend on, started having all sorts of problems. It would crash. It would get hacked. It would just be unreliable. So I started selling stuff through my own website. And what happened was I built relationships with some of the freelancers from that site and my friendships with them. And they saw that I was making money through my own site and were like, can we sell through your site too? And I was like, okay. I was like, maybe I'm onto something here. And somebody suggested that I start my own marketplace, kind of like the one that had problems. And I didn't really warm to that at first, but in time I did. And I ended up partnering with one of my customers, actually, who I had sold a $17 service to. And we launched my current business, Legiit, which started as just a marketplace. But since then, We've added some like software and some tools into it to help businesses and to focus specifically on growing small, medium, and even large businesses in some cases. And that's, 12 years in 2 minutes.
There you go. That's a lot. Because like a lot of us start working in a regular 9 to 5, whatever job, and we see potential somewhere else. From my experience, I wasn't in that realm. I was in more so, I need a job. What do I do? But still, it stems from that as well. So what I'm hearing is that you were kind of unsure if you wanted to create your own market. And then you're like, well, I'm just going to do it anyways to see how it goes.
First, I thought it was like too big of a thing for someone like me, which is a big mental block that people have to get over. Because like I thought that developing sites and stuff like that was things that other people did. But eventually I found the right people to work with and I did it. And at first, it was just going to be like an extra product for the SEO business. It wasn't going to be like a business of its own. But within the first month, it was by far my biggest earner. And it's grown every single month since then in 7.5-ish years. So it's turned into something I never envisioned.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because it's so funny because when you see on the internet, like, okay, is this real? Am I going to be able to do this on my own? Just trying to navigate the ins and outs, especially if you're already working a full-time job. And now you're like, okay, well, I got to start doing this and I got to start taking client calls and start to realize this is real. This is a real thing. So that to me is, I see there was a lot of determination because obviously you wanted to do this for a reason. You wanted to not be in the job that you were in. Where did the determination come from? Like, how did you figure out like, well, I don't want to be in this job anymore, so let me go full time in my own thing?
Yeah. So the way that any decision like that gets made, and this is something that's useful in sales as well, is once the point of everything has a certain amount of pain and risk associated with it. So once the pain of the thing you're doing now is less than the pain of taking the alternative, that's when you'll do it. And with the job, I want to add a disclaimer. I always feel like I'm dunking on the people at that company. I was the problem and they weren't. Some of them are still friends. So I always feel bad when I tell this part of the story, but I absolutely hated everything about that job because I didn't feel like I was making as much money as I should, but I also didn't feel like I was being respected for my abilities as much as I should be. And I was definitely overqualified for the position I was in. And I just felt like it was never going to get any better because the way that company was, if I worked there another 10 years, nothing would have changed other than slight annual increases. So I knew that if that was enough, like that was enough for me to go, I don't want to live like this. And this isn't going to change here. So I have to do something else. And then once I started making a little bit of money on my own, I was like, wow, I can make money without somebody telling me how to dress, when to come in, what to work on, when to go to the bathroom, when to take vacation, when to go to lunch. That this is better. So to be clear, that's for me. It doesn't mean it's better for everyone because I have employees and I would hate for them to think I'm dunking on all employees. But
no, for sure. Just coming from experience, I remember when I was working in the office and I used to get up a lot. Like I can't sit here 9 to 5. Like I cannot, like I have to get up and move around. And I would get up so often. I would do a task, get up, go back to my desk. And I always people would go like, why are you not working? I'm working. I'm getting my work done. And mind you, I got my work done like the day of and not a week later because everybody works different. Everybody cannot just sit down and just be at the computer for that long. And I always not necessarily got yelled at, but like all the time, like, what do you do? I'm walking around for a minute, you know?
Yeah, because they don't get it.
So now when you are an entrepreneur and you're starting your own thing, it's so odd to shift that mindset. Like, oh my goodness, I have to tell myself what to do. I'm my boss. It's the discipline and determination, because if you don't have the discipline, you're not going to make the money that you want to make.
Yeah, when I started, I gave notice and I gave them a long notice. Like I said, I would work there as long as it took for them to find somebody else to help train that person. So I had a long time to think about what I was going to do once I was out on my own. And I read all kinds of books and blog posts and stuff on what you're supposed to do. And I was like, I'm going to get up at 3 a.m. and then I'm going to go to the gym and then I'm going to do this. And I quickly learned that that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So I had to have the discipline to figure out what was and what was not working for me. Because basically I was just pretending that I had a boss that just didn't exist. As weird as that sounds. You talk about discipline. It's important to something I've been focusing on a lot in the last year is coming up with your ideal day, the routine and the things that you do in it, and then doing your best to live that same day over and over again. To a lot of people, that sounds horribly boring. Mm-hmm. But if you set up a day that works for you, that you find fulfilling, you don't need that constant dopamine of something new to make it work for you. So if you find a pattern that works for you, have the discipline to implement it. It won't feel like discipline because it's how you thrive is doing that. So you just find an ideal day. And what I mean by an ideal day is an ideal, you do this at this time and this time, this time. It doesn't have to be strict like that. There's going to be variance, but an outline, and then just try to repeat that day as often as possible. And that's how I've come to discipline myself to continue to grow and excel.
Yeah, that's definitely when you create your ideal day, you're showing up for yourself, right? You're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do for my day, and I'm going to show up for me. And then you're disciplined, and then you're showing up. And now that you're having your ideal day and you're good, then you're going to be able to show up for your clients, and you're going to be able to show up for your team. So can you dive into like, how does that look like for you? Like showing up, if you're showing up for yourself, what does your day look like?
Sure. First thing I want to know, it's important that everybody understand that everyone's is going to be different.
Oh, yeah.
There was a video recently that went super viral of this like health coach that showed his whole morning routine, like minute by minute. And everybody, I mean, some people liked it, but some people really made fun of him because he did do some weird stuff like sticking his face in a bowl of cold water and things like that. But yeah, he's very successful. So clearly that routine works
for him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I say that because I don't want somebody to say, well, if I tell them my routine, I don't want them to think I'm saying this is what you need to do. But for me, the big things are optimizing the amount of time and the quality of sleep that I get, because that seems to make my brain work much better. And once you get to a certain level in business, everything you do is just brain work. What I mean by that is I mostly take meetings, do appearances, and think and make decisions. So I realized that that was what I needed to get the most out of. So I optimized everything else around that and had the discipline for that. So I'm going to start at night, which is kind of weird, but it's kind of the way it steers. So I start winding down around 9 p.m. and then I go to sleep around 10 p.m. and then I wake up around 9 a.m. So that's longer than most people sleep. But through data and tracking, I found that's what gets me the most performance. And then I wake up and do a little bit of exercise, not as much as I should, probably. And then I have some breakfast and then I just get to work. Like whatever it is I have that day, I have a wonderful assistant that tells me what I have to do that day. And then I do those things and then I fill in everything else around that. And I also have a hard cutoff time of around 7 p.m., depending on how it goes. You need that time to unwind.
I truly believe that if you get enough sleep, then it's like if you wake up and you're super tired, right? You're not in the right headspace. Some people are cranky. I've seen it before where people are not so nice to their team. It's because they didn't get the amount of sleep. Sleep is definitely something that needs to happen for everybody. And oftentimes it can be difficult, especially if you're new and you're a new entrepreneur. Because a lot of the times people say, I wake up in the middle of the night and I have to write down all these ideas because my brain won't stop going. But once you start to be able to optimize your routine and kind of get into that habit of like, I need to do X, Y, and Z, because this is how I'm going to show up. If I am not rested, if I don't get enough good food in my body, then I'm not going to want to sit here and talk to anybody. Like, especially if your day is thrown off and your team comes to you and asks you a question, and if you're not in a good mood, then that's like a domino effect. That's not good for anybody. And then oftentimes people are like, okay, was it me? No, it was not, you know?
Yeah. The other thing I would add to that is to actually track it and learn how to get better at it. Because you'll talk to people, oh, I'm good on 6 hours a night. I'm like, you're probably not. And it's because you're just used to it. You don't realize how much better you would be if you got not only more, but like more quality. So it's a topic I could go on. I know it's a bit off topic, but it's just worth noting.
Yeah, no. And again, that's the discipline that you put in yourself to do that.
I should add that was the first 5 or 6 years I was doing the typical tech startup grind thing where you would work 18 hours and not get up, and just eating would be like Uber Eats or something. I gained a lot of weight. I was unhappy. It worked. Like the businesses did well, but everything else went away. So there was I don't like the term work-life balance because I think that means that you're giving both 50% and I think both deserve 100%, but there was no work-life harmony or synergy that way. And that's when I started making some changes. And lo and behold, both the personal life and the business have gotten better because of it.
Yeah. And again, I always say this all the time, it's all connected. When you're running a business, it's intertwined into your personal life. So like the way that you are personally is going to affect your business and vice versa. So if you're having a great day, you're going to have a great day. And if you're not, then you're not. Then you need to figure out like, okay, what can I do to make this better? So talking about self-awareness, you have to be aware of how you are. Because if you're not, then everything gets thrown out and not the way that you want it to be, you know?
Again, I don't like the term work-life balance. When I picture balance, I picture I think it's like Lady Justice with the scales that are like here and here.
Right.
And when I see that, I see two things that none of them are all the way at the top. It's not a perfect analogy, but I would rather them be all the way at the top rather than my life and my work only getting 50%. So that's what balance is to me, is like they both deserve 100%. So you have to find ways to weave them together, which is why sleeping better makes me eat better, makes me work better, which makes the business grow, which gives me more money to learn to invest in technologies and supplements and things to make life better. And the circle, the business thing, the flywheel keeps spinning. So
I'm really curious on how you show up for your team, because aside from being on doing this podcast, like I like to work with teams. And I'm just really curious because typically I believe implementing the strategies that we teach ourselves and the discipline that we hold ourselves to a standard, and we're our own boss. But I think that will help your team grow. So if an entrepreneur is like, hey, I'm thinking about like maybe hiring somebody, how do you show up for your team?
I think it depends on the type of business, but I try to know all of them somewhat personally and have direct relationships with them. Now, we're going to get to a point where that's not possible. But for now, I like to have like inside jokes with all of them and know what's going on in their life. If one of them says that Timmy is sick, so I can't come in today, and I don't know if Timmy is their son, their husband, their dog, I think that's a problem. So I think understanding them as people is a big part of it. And then empowering them to make decisions on their own. So when somebody asks you a question, most of the time they already know what they think the right answer is. So I usually just ask them what they think. And unless it's just outrageously wrong, which is rare because they've been trained properly, but I just say, okay, do that. And they're just looking for that. And then the more times you do that, the less often they'll come to you, the better they'll get at making decisions. And the less you have to do, the better you can do. So like the less things that come to you. So I also try to pay well, but I try to give them the freedom and show them that I have the confidence in them to make decisions themselves and to be available most of the time. I'm a human being too. I need to be away from work, but be available to them most of the time and be available to them on a personal level as well. Like people are people. And I really hate when people look at employees as assets or whatever to their business. One thing that really, like, forgive the language, but pisses me off is when I hear people in my industry tend to refer to just get a VA from the Philippines to do it. It's like, that's a human being. Like, get another person to do it. And I know that's like, sounds like just semantics, but I think it's important and just treating them with respect, I guess, is to sum that up.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And it's like, I'm all about getting to know the people that work with you. I have a client that I've been with for about 4 years now. I've met her twice in person, but she checks in with me. She's like, hey, how's it going? And I do the same thing. Building that relationship with the people that you work with is so important, because showing respect and like saying, hey, okay, well, if you're sick, stay home or don't work and all that stuff, because oftentimes, I mean, we've all been there, like working in the corporate world or whatever, like you have the toxicity. And it's like, no, can we just get away from that? Because we are people. We want to have some sort of connection. It's not solely based on transactional, like you're saying, like assets. It's not just that. You have people in your business for a reason.
Yeah.
So like building those relationships is definitely important.
Yeah, a lot of people almost see them as computer programs in my mind. I get the impression that if they could get away with replacing all their people with AI, they would. And not that you shouldn't look for opportunities to optimize your business that way, but like when I go to some place that has a customer service chat and it's an AI chat, that says a lot about how they value people, not only their employees, because they replaced them with a robot that doesn't do a good job, in my opinion.
Right.
And the people that like spent money with them, they'll say it's a 24/7 product, but we'll be back on Monday, kind of thing. So that to me reflects how they value people. And I don't ever want to value people that way.
Yeah, definitely not. It's so funny that you say that, like customer service and AI. A few months ago, I had to make a doctor's appointment and I didn't talk to anybody. I pressed the buttons and then I showed up. They sent me to a place that was like 30 minutes from my house, and I could have went down 10 minutes down the street. And it's so funny because they're like, why are you here if you normally go there? I go, well, because I didn't have the opportunity to speak to a person. It was a robot and I didn't like it. It was super weird for me.
Especially for something as personal as a doctor.
I want to talk to a real person. So just one last question. If there's any advice or anything like that you can give to early stage entrepreneurs, what would that be?
There's a couple. The first one is practical and the other one is more abstract. The practical one is to keep your personal expenses as low as possible for as long as possible. For a lot of people, this is going to be the first time you've ever made any real money. And it's going to be tempting to go and increase your lifestyle because you increased your income. But if you keep your expenses low and even cut what you have, you'll have more flexibility, more ability to invest back into your business, more ability to take risks and things of that nature. I'm not saying do that forever. Eventually, you deserve to improve your lifestyle because you improved your income, assuming that's what you want to do. But stay as lean as possible, as long as possible. That helped me out a lot. And I know a lot of other people that has helped out a lot too. I get a little irritated because I've been saying that for a long time. And Alex Hormozi comes along and says something similar. People, when I say it now, people say I'm copying him, especially because I wear the nose strip like him too. But
so funny.
I've been saying that longer than he has. So anyway, and then the more abstract one is to have an objective for your business beyond just make more money than last month. Don't get me wrong, you have to keep the lights on, you have to keep the money flowing. But if your goal is just to make money, you're going to make bad decisions, first of all, because you're going to make short-term decisions. But it's also never going to be a great business. It's just going to be a job that you're the boss in. If you have a big goal for your business, it will inform all of your decisions in the future. So, for example, our goal is to have every business in the world using our platform. Now, is that possible? Probably not. But when we're faced with a decision, we say, does it service that goal? And if it does, we do it. If it doesn't, we don't. Have something like that. It doesn't have to be that grand, but have something that you're working towards so you'll make better decisions. It's just more gratifying in the long run. You'll have a bigger impact and you'll make more money in the long run. Like Steve Jobs is one of my role models of a business owner. And his thing, he didn't want to make great products just to make great products. Whether you think the iPhone or whatever is a great product is a different discussion. But he wanted to put a dent in the universe, and they made all their decisions based on doing that. And that's why they're the most profitable company in history, is because of decisions like that. If they had just wanted to make more money, they probably could have, but they would just be one of several as opposed to the one that most people line up for 20 years since it was launched. So have a long-term goal and keep your personal expenses as low as possible, as long as possible.
Those are great, especially the goal. If you see this and this is where I want to be in 10 years, keep doing it. Because I believe that too. If you're just going to be stuck in one spot, then you're not going to really move as much as you want to. So Chris, where can we find you online to connect with you?
So if you want to check out Legiit and you have a business, we can help you get started there. That's Legiit with 2 I's, Legiit.com. And if you want to connect with me, you can find me on Facebook or YouTube. I'm on all the platforms, but those are my two favorites. So just search Chris M. Walker and you'll find me on either of those. And I'd love to hear from you. But I have a question for you, actually.
Yeah.
Are you the drummer?
I try.
Okay. No, that's very cool.
Yes, I attempt to. So my family is a music family, and my dad plays guitar. My brother plays the guitar. I never picked up an instrument. And then a year and a half ago, I said, I want to learn how to play the drums. Show the picture to my husband, and the drums were here the next day. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to try my best.
Well, that's all we can do. It's good to have hobbies. That's why I have toys in the background.
Yeah. I have stuff around the whole house too, like a lot of collectibles that I probably shouldn't buy anything anymore because there's nowhere else to put anything.
That's why I've stopped buying these, is I have nowhere else to put them. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Chris. As always, all of our information is going to be in the show notes. Until next time, bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Remember, soft skills aren't just some fluffy buzzwords that get thrown around in the corporate world. They're the key to unlocking your full potential as a professional and a human being. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself and seek out opportunities to improve your soft skills. Sarah and I have a variety of workshops, online courses, and complimentary clarity calls for you to practice in real time with us. Links are always in the show notes. And be sure to join us next time for more insights, tips, and tricks to help you succeed in your entrepreneur encounter.